What is good, everybody? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Still struggling with the vocal cords here, but that's okay because the Bears schedule has been leaked. I love that we do this whole release thing every time, right? Like we're not going to get the schedule hours early, but I'm here to do my Chicago Bears way too early win-loss prediction, and it starts right now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page because we do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. All right, so this is my way too early prediction with it, right? We've got the games here. We don't have the exact times and dates on every single game, but we do know at a minimum where the games will slate and how they'll fall. And I'm not going to lie, it's ugly to start the season off for the Bears here. You start the season off with the 49ers coming to Chicago. Bears start the season at home, but at a minimum, right? At least it's not that stupid like we had last season, home road, home road, home road, home road. But you do start pretty tough. You got the season starting off with the 49ers, the team that in a little bit of flux. I don't know if you're going to get Trey Lance as the starting QB in that one. I think there's still a good chance for Jimmy Graham to be there at a minimum with that defense being what it is right now. I can see the 49ers absolutely getting a dub in that one, starting off in Soldier Field. Week 2, like I said, this is the way too early predictions. You got the Packers here. They're coming in on a Sunday night. You knew they wanted to do that. This is going to be September 18th, Sunday Night Football, Bears-Packers. I got the Bears starting off the season 2-0. Not to say I don't think these won't be competitive games, but I don't feel like the Bears are where they need to be. And there's a lot of things that they have to implement and get in place beforehand before I think that they're just going to hit the ground running and start plowing through teams, right? It might happen this season, might happen next season, but it's coming, Bears fans. That's all you need to know. So week 2, unfortunately, I got the Bears starting off 0-2 versus the Niners and the Packers. But then we got week 3 here in Chicago, where we're going to be taking on the Texans. And I don't think the Texans improved very much. I think they're very much the same team that we saw last season, got a little bit better defensively. They're trying to work in a new system. I don't think they have much of an offensive line. I don't have much of a trust in Davis Mills. I think that the Bears at a minimum defensively improved this offseason. And so I'm going to say Bears get their first dub here versus the Texans in week 3 here in Chicago. Now, the Bears do fly out to New York for week 4. This is where it starts to be like, hey, are we doing that back and forth? We've done this week after week after week after week. This is kind of where it ends, though. But Bears going up against the Giants. I don't think there's a lot about the Giants that I have a lot of trust in, a lot of faith in at all. I feel like they got worse. I feel like they're going to be a team that's really trying for the tank this season, trying to build up some of those pieces. We've heard that they're trying to move off of Saquon. I feel like we're probably too late in the process for that to happen. So we're going to see what that's going to be. He might be there. He may not, right? But at a minimum, right, I don't feel like there's a lot that team can do when we're talking about on the offensive end, similar to what I think the Bears can do, at a minimum, running the ball versus a very poor run defense that the New York Giants have. And so to me, right, like going up against the New York Giants, who are the 25th ranked defense, giving up about 129 yards per game last season. So I think the Bears going very run heavy is going to make all the difference versus the Giants. And I think that's where you're going to see the Bears get a dub there. By the way, the last 2 games, I don't know if I said date and time, September 25th at 1 p.m. for the Texans game. And then the Giants game, October 2nd at 1 p.m. Also, the time zones that I'm giving here are Eastern time zones. Remember that they're Eastern time zones. So, of course, we translate everything to 12 p.m., but it's just how it's written out here. Week 5 versus the Vikings. I think the Bears go back below 500. October 9th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At least where we are right now, right? Like, I feel like this is going to be a tougher Vikings team that we've seen. I feel like they come in with a little more. The fact that there hasn't been much of a change in the personnel, but there's been a change in coaching, usually it'll give you a little bit of a boost. Unless we feel like they're just going to go completely the other direction. I feel like the Vikings are going to be in a pretty good position this season to be a good football team. I think they'll finish 2nd in the division. And so for me, I feel like this is going to be a tough loss in Minnesota for the Bears coming into this situation. 2nd game on the road, and then hopefully you'll be able to get it back together. And I feel like it's just going to be a load to handle when you're dealing with Thielen, Jefferson. They're going to have a run threat there. Kirk Cousins is a threat to at least throw the football. Not to say that he's a great quarterback by any means, but he is a threat to at least get it to his receivers and allow them to make plays. Now, the one thing I will say about that Vikings defense is they were poor at covering the run last season. So that could be an area where the Bears turn into a little bit of a ground and pound while getting Justin out in some space, allowing him to make some of those simple throws, kind of using the Kirk Cousins example against them, right? It could prove profitable for the Bears coming out with a dub, but I think that's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, these are way too early predictions. This is just me really running through the schedule and giving my quick thoughts at a glance. Also, I want to know your Bears predictions in the description below, man. Where do you think the Bears finish this season out? How do you think the Bears schedule plays out? I mean, strength of schedule is low for the Bears in this situation, and you've got a lot of teams that you can go up against and do some good work against. So it's going to be interesting to see. I feel like the Bears could win more games than people think, but it's still going to be tough. And as we come into week 6, it doesn't get easier, right? Like the Commanders defense, they had a top 10 rushing defense, did some good things there. That could cause some disruption for Justin Fields, especially if he's relied on his run game to this point. That's going to be October 13th at 8:20. That's a Thursday night game. So 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central Standard. I got the Bears getting a dub here in Soldier Field. Like I said, it's going to be a tough defense, but I feel like the Commanders still are going to be figuring things out with their new quarterback in the building, going after Carson Wentz this offseason. Like, is this going to be the situation where all of a sudden Carson's back to MVP form? I don't personally see it. I think Carson's got the NFL version of the yips, but maybe it is, right? If he comes back in that MVP form, we could be talking about a completely different game where the Bears get their heads kicked in. But I feel like with Robert Quinn on that line, the Bears can do some things to get to Carson Wentz. And I think the Bears could pull out a win on Thursday night versus the Commanders. I also have a tough time putting my team in an L spot against any team called the Commanders, right? So right now, a little past the first quarter of the schedule, right? Bears sitting 3-3, not a bad situation to be in there, right? In my opinion. Now you do have to go to the Patriots. This Patriots team was a playoff level team, was a battle tested team. You got Mac Jones coming back for a second season. Mac Jones going up against Justin Fields. That's a battle we all want to see. But this Patriots defense, now I do think Bill Belichick will get it in a little bit more order, right? But this Patriots defense struggled with the run. Again, I think the Bears will be run heavy. Our offensive line did pretty good with run blocking last year, so I think that could disrupt a lot of things. And I think this is a game where you might see Velus Jones really be able to dig in, right? Not a lot of speed on that side for the Patriots right now. So this could be an opportunity where Velus Jones is able to attack, and be able to blow past some guys and get the job done. But don't sleep on Bill Belichick. I have a tough time ever betting against Bill Belichick. So make sure that you're tuned to your TVs on that one. That's going to be on October 24th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:15 Standard Time, Monday Night Football, right after a Thursday night game. That's going to be an interesting one. Bears with a long layover there. So hopefully we get that win versus the Commanders, because those losses on those long layovers are the worst, aren't they? In this situation, though, I do have the Bears taking an L here. So going 3-4, that's where we get under 500. And now it's now gets to the point in the season where you got to start making some tough decisions, in my opinion. Coming into week 8, Bears at Cowboys, October 30th, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 12 p.m. Standard Time, Central Standard Time. Going up against the Cowboys. This is a coin flip. Why? Because who knows where the Cowboys will be 8 weeks into the season? Who knows where any of these teams will be 8 weeks into the season, right? Who knows where we will be 8 weeks into the season? But who knows where the Cowboys will be 8 weeks into the season? We've seen the Cowboys 8 weeks in the season be a Super Bowl contender. We've seen the Cowboys 8 weeks into the season be one of the worst teams in football. So, like, this is a toss-up for me. Really depends on what defensive level shows up, right? I want to know if that defense can kind of get back to the form it was pre-playoffs, because there was a lot on Micah Parsons' shoulder that he just wasn't able to carry that load on for the rest of the defense. And I think that's going to be something big to key in on, especially with Justin Fields trying to probably move the ball a little bit more in that one. Dallas, a top 20 rush defense. Granted, they're 20, but 115 rushing yards per game. But here's the key thing to key in on: which team is real? Because in their last 3 games of the season, they gave up the 5th most rushing yards per game, 148.3 rushing yards a game. So which Dallas is the real Dallas? That's going to be interesting to see. That's going to be week 8. I'm going to say, you know what? Bears at Cowboys. I'm going to say Dallas probably gets the win there, just because that team, better quarterback. in theory, better running back, depending on which one you're going with, right? Got some good weapons down there. I think the Cowboys probably get that dub. I feel like we're going to be 3-5 heading into week 9 here at the Dolphins, which is good because I have zero belief in anything they have going down there in Miami right now. Like I said, way too early predictions, right? But I have zero belief that anything they're doing down in Miami is going to be a W. So I think the Dolphins are set up for a terrible season. I think they traded for Tyreek Hill just for the heck of doing it. Yes, you did sign the number 1 coveted left tackle on the market in Terron Armstead, but I mean, listen, I don't have a lot of belief in what they're doing down there based on the quarterback alone, and I don't think Sony Michel is going to be the answer signing that the Dolphins feel like they got in there, right? So it's going to be, to me, I feel like the Dolphins is going to be a dub for the Bears, getting them back to 4-5, especially here in Chicago in November. Who knows what weather we'll be facing at that point? It could be a blizzard. It could be 80 degrees outside, but nonetheless, I got the Bears getting a dub in that one in Chicago. Then, back-to-back weeks at home. This is the first time in the season the Bears will have this all the way in week 10. They've spent multiple back-to-back weeks on the road. The second half of this schedule going to be a lot of home games here. Bears at Lions. Dub. Stop playing with them. It's Detroit. That's off rip. It don't matter. They got better weapons. They got Jared Goff, and it's Detroit. Doesn't matter to me in the slightest. I don't care. There's no great analysis on this. It's always smoke with Detroit. Free smoke, free smoke. Chi-Town, baby. Stop playing with them. Bears get a dub there. I got the Bears moving back to 5-5 on back-to-back dub weeks. And coming into week 11, unless we see that Lions game, by the way, it's going to be November 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Standard. Now, week 11 is going to be an interesting one, right? You're heading down to Atlanta, but their quarterback is none other than Marcus Mariota right now. And I think the one that's going to have his best shot at getting it is going to be Desmond Ridder. I think they'd rather see Ridder out there, right? Unfortunately, I think he's going to be in a little bit of a Mitch Trubisky here in Chicago situation where, yeah, we drafted you, but we kind of want to see you now because we know that this guy can't play. So I think that's going to be an interesting setup there. Don't know which quarterback we're going to see. Either way, I think they're going to be working him in. Cordero Patterson is their biggest threat down there, especially with everything that's going on with Calvin Ridley. So I think the Bears get a dub here. Yes, that is 3 dubs in a row for me, but the Falcons defense was not good last season, sitting 27th in rush defense and allowing almost 2 touchdowns a game last season just on the passing tip. So I think that that's going to be a game where the Bears can do a real job of taking advantage of Atlanta, especially with that defense that I don't think took a big step forward, right? And really their biggest move this offseason was getting Cordero Patterson back down there. Shout out to Cordero, man. We miss you here, man. Love you here in Chicago. You'll always have that love, my boy. That's going to be November 20th at 1 p.m. if I didn't say that, Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. And then Bears at Jets. This is going to be an interesting one, right? Because I feel like Zach Wilson is honestly in a really good situation for him to be good. It's just going to depend on him. But I think this is going to be a coin flip game again. Not to say that the Bears are going to be, oh my God, great, right? Because now I've picked 3 wins in a row. But I said this is a schedule that the Bears can take a little bit of an advantage against. Guess what? They can go on some runs. I got the Bears winning 3 in a row right now. Guess what? I got the Bears winning 4 in a row versus the Jets, moving them to 7-5 at this point. But like I said, to me, this one's a coin flip because I know that Zach Wilson has a nice offensive line, has some weapons, has a decent little run game he can go to, and this is going to be in New York as well. So Bears back on the road, multiple weeks off of a week 11 versus the Falcons. This could be a tough one for the Bears. I do got the Bears getting it out just because I have a tough time picking us against the Jets ever, but the Jets are definitely moving in the right direction, man. I think Zach Wilson could be a nice quarterback for them, especially with everything they already got in place, and we're going to see what he ends up being this season. But at a minimum, I will say I'm just excited to see Justin kind of get to go up against all his contemporaries in this position. We got Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, yeah, I'm saying like all these guys that we're like, hey, these are the dudes we comparing you to, so it's going to be good to see what he does against them in year 2. So right now, I got the Bears 7-5, right? We're feeling good at this point, Bears fans. We're feeling like, okay, we're treading water. I'm sure we'll have some Bears fans that are over the top, feeling like we got Super Bowl aspirations here. We're going to have some Bears fans that are underwhelmed, feeling like we're blowing a draft pick. But for me right now, right, there's enough games in here where I feel like the Bears will have an opportunity to go after them, and they're going to simplify things so much that it'll be an opportunity for them to get dubs. I do got the Bears going on a little run here, but let's not lose our heads here, Bears fans. This is against Tua, Jared Goff, Marcus Mariota, and Zach Wilson. We're going to get slapped with reality right before the bye. Week 13 versus the Packers in Soldier Field. I do have that as another L. I think the Bears take 2 L's this year to the Packers just because Aaron Rodgers, out of spite, is going to be so big on, hey, let's keep the eye on you. It doesn't matter if I have a receiver. It doesn't matter if and we know what he can do versus us, right? Like, let's stop being delusional about it. This is going to be a tough L for us, but I do believe it's going to be an L. Sending us into the bye week 7 and 6. That's going to be December 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. So that's week 13 for the Bears. 14 is the bye week. Now coming back, week 15 is going to be interesting. You got the Eagles. I believe in Jalen Hurts a little bit more than most. I think we saw pretty good development from him last season. I feel like he's going to be moving in the right direction. Not to say he's this end-all, be-all quarterback. Not to say he's going to be the cat's meow when he's out there getting the cat's meow. What the? Don't worry about it. Not to say he's going to be this killer on the field, but I feel like Philly's going to take a little bit of a step this season, moving in the right direction. And I feel like it could be a tough one for the Bears in that situation. I got the Bears taking an L in that one, coming off of the bye, which is the worst situation, right? Because we've dealt with that with Matt Nagy so often, but I don't feel like this is going to be a Matt Nagy coming out unprepared L. I feel like this is going to be, this team's just a little bit ahead of you kind of L, moving the Bears down to 7-7 in week 15. Now here's the tough one, right? Because here's where you start to look at the season and you're like, wait a minute, hold on now. We were just 7-5. We're going the wrong direction. Unfortunately, yes, right? Week 16 versus the Buffalo Bills. I don't have to say much on that one, dog. Like, come on. Christmas Eve game, December 24th, 12 p.m. Central Standard. Like, come on, dog. That was the best defense. That was the best. Unless by this point, Jared Allen is hurt, we're in some trouble. And that's okay. That's okay, right? Because at this point, we'll be 7-8. We'll probably be in some kind of fight for a playoff spot as a wild card at this point, right? We'll feel good about it because going into week 17, we will have the Lions, Bears versus Lions. That's going to be in Detroit. Again, Bears dub. Stop playing with them. I'm not worried about anything that Detroit has to throw at us. Not to say they can't be competitive, but I feel pretty good playing the Lions every single time, and that's going to be January 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central Standard. And then we finish the season off week 18 versus the Vikings. At this point, we are 8-8 going into our final week versus the Vikings, and I feel like we'll take an L. January 8th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central. I feel like the Bears will take an L here because I feel like the Vikings will be in a similar position where they're playing for a little bit higher playoff spot. Now, granted, the Bears will be playing for their playoff lives here. I think this is going to be a hard-fought season for the Bears. I think that we'll see more competency. I think we'll see more fight out of this team. I think we'll see a little bit of a win streak and some runs out of this team, but some of those teams are just in a better position than us right now. Unfortunately, the Vikings are one of those teams. I do think we take an L to the Vikings that final week, at least as of now, right? You never know what's going to happen when training camp gets here, when everything finishes out. Like I said, this is the way too early predictions. Way too early predictions. And so for me, I think this is going to be an L for the Bears. Coming out of week 18, Bears will finish the season 8-9, but at a minimum, right, I feel like we'll leave this season feeling like it's a step in the right direction. I feel like we'll leave this season feeling like, hey, we've got our quarterback of the future. I feel like we'll leave this season talking higher about Velus Jones than many people are now, and I feel like we'll leave this season feeling pretty good about Ryan Poles in his first season. But I want to know how you guys think this season is going to go for the Chicago Bears. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. I'm going to go rest these vocal cords because I am dying right now. So if you want to continue watching our Chicago Bears content, click the links on the screen and check the links in the description below. Like I said, I want to know how you guys feel about this Bears schedule being released and how you feel the Bears record is going to be. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.